Alright YouTube, so in today's video I want to talk about all the reasons why I find the division system in Call of Duty World War II bad. First up, and probably the most crucial thing about it, is it got rid of the Pick 10 system, which has been like the best addition to the Call of Duty series in my personal opinion. It was introduced in Black Ops 2, which happens to be my favorite Call of Duty, and I believe it is up there with some of the best Call of Duties that have ever been made. With the Pick 10 system, you literally had 10 slots for each class that you built, and you could do whatever you wanted with it. You could do no weapons at all, you could just do perks and like grenades if you wanted to, wild cards, shit like that, or you could just do all weapons, no perks, you could choose what you wanted to do. With Call of Duty World War II, we do not have that freedom. You have to take a division. You have to take a primary. You have to take a secondary. You have to take a basic training. You're forced to have a grenade. Like, we have zero fucking freedom when it comes to building our classes. And the forced pistol secondary and forced grenade is one of the things that bother me the most, probably, because I don't always run secondaries in my classes. I go back to Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3, and there's plenty of classes I build where I run 0 grenades and 0 secondaries and just focus on my primary and my perks, and we don't have that now, because you have to take a fucking pistol. You have to have a grenade, and it's very frustrating. We essentially have a pick 3 system here, because you choose whatever weapon you want to run, whatever your primary is. You then choose your division. While the divisions have the ranks to them that give you essentially what perks were, those are already decided for you, so you don't really have any choice there, and then you get to pick your one basic training, and that's it. Yeah, you can choose what pistol you want, but the first two are just semi-auto pistols, the third one's a machine pistol, and then you have your whatever grenade you want, whether it be a tactical or a lethal grenade, depending on how you want, but that's really not much of a choice, they're all kind of the same. And talking about the secondaries and going back to the basic trainings, you have to give up your one basic training just to run a launcher to shoot down like UAVs and things. And that's very frustrating for me, because whenever I usually do run a secondary, it's almost always a launcher so I can shoot down the UAVs and continue going on and killing people. And one of the key problems with this is the launchers in this game do not lock on, which of course makes sense for the time. We didn't have automatic lock-on rockets for World War II, but you have to lead your shots on this game. So if you give up your one basic training just to run a launcher, just to shoot down UAVs, you then have to lead the shot, and you may not even make it sometimes. So unless you're fucking accurate as hell, it's almost a waste whenever you miss your shots. And sometimes the UAVs, I call them UAVs, they're called recon planes in the game, but UAVs, sometimes they spawn across the fucking map. So either you gotta run across the map, risk dying just to shoot down this recon plane, or try to lead the shot from way across the map in your spawn, and generally you're going to miss that. So it's almost a waste to even run the launch basic training at all, but if you don't, then people are gonna run over you because of the UAVs. Now, speaking about the basic trainings as a whole, they're really not that bad. They're essentially what perks were, but you can only pick one. Now, most of the basic trainings do have 2 effects to them, which is kind of good, makes them not as bad, but again, those are already chosen for you. We were just talking about the launch basic training. That allows you to equip the launchers, but also gives you the effect of being able to recover the ammo for that launcher. Not great, but still something. There's 2 effects to it. The prime basic training, which is probably the most popular, reduces flinch when you are shot, and the flinch is bad in this game, but also allows you to equip another attachment to your primary. So the basic trainings aren't bad necessarily, but I feel like it would have been better if we could have picked like one more. Like if you could choose 2 basic trainings, I think that'd balance things out a bit. Now on to the divisions themselves. There are 5 divisions, each consisting of 4 ranks. Pretty much all these ranks are what used to be either attachments or perks from previous games, or sometimes even wild cards. We're going to go one by one through each division and break this shit down. First up, we have the Infantry Division. The first rank of this is the Rifle Bayonet. This puts a bayonet on the end of your rifles. It has to be an assault rifle. This allows you to charge with the bayonet, and it also allows you to have one-hit melees, which is very, very fucking useful. I use this all the damn time. I don't know if this has been in the Call of Duty series before. It hasn't been in any of the Call of Duties that I have personally played. I use it all the time, mostly at the end of my sprint. So like if I'm sprinting, you kind of get a feel of whenever your sprint's going to end. I hit the bayonet charge just to kind of extend it. I also check corners and buildings with it, run around corners, bayonet charging to get those one-hit melees. Next up, we have the additional primary attachment, which is what used to be the primary gunfighter wildcard from previous Call of Duties that allowed you to take an additional attachment. So they took what used to be a wildcard and one of your pick 10 options if you wanted it to be, and just kind of made it into a division rank level. Third rank is the extra magazines. Not really that great, honestly, because Call of Duty is a game where you die a lot unless you camp your dick off, or you just are a monster and don't really ever die. Reserve ammo, not that big a deal. And the last rank is the move significantly faster while aiming down sights, which is what used to be the stock attachment. If for some reason you haven't played Call of Duty World War II, the stock attachment is not in the game at all, and that shit triggered me. As somebody who is a primarily left stick aimer, I strafe left and right to like line up my shots whenever I'm fighting somebody. Not having a stock attachment fucking sucks. I'm almost forced, as the way I play, to have to run the Infantry Division just to have this effect. To me, it's absolutely lazy and pathetic that they would cut an attachment that's been in Call of Duty for so fucking long just to make it a rank in a division. Like, it's just ridiculous. Speaking of cut attachments, let's move on to the Airborne Division. And the first rank of this allows you to equip an SMG with a suppressor mid-game, and this is the only weapon category in the entire game that gets suppressors. You can't put a suppressor in your assault rifle, your sniper rifle, your shotgun. You can only do it on your SMGs, and only if you are using the Airborne Division. This, to me, is one of the most controversial things, and one of the most controversial changes to the game that they did. In a competitive sense, it's irrelevant. Nobody's going to use suppressors in a competitive match. You want as much damage. You don't want to cut your range down using a suppressor. But in terms of pubs, this is absurd. If you're playing like core TDM, if somebody uses the Airborne Division, they have the advantage that you don't even have access to if you don't have an Airborne class with SMGs. It's just kind of crazy. Rank 2, we have Sprint for Longer Distances, which I believe is like the Marathon perk or something from the older games that allowed you to sprint for longer distances or sprint indefinitely depending on the Call of Duty you're playing. Again, just another rehash perk. Next up, we have the Climb Over Obstacles Faster. This was essentially kind of like what Dexterity was in some of the previous Call of Duties. Allows you to climb ladders and climb up things, vault over things faster. Again, another rehash perk. And lastly, we have Increased Sprint Speed. Now, this one was kind of interesting to me because in recent Call of Duties, what used to be the lightweight perk was cut because it was a crutch perk. Everybody, if you're actually trying to win in a competitive sense, you're going to run lightweight. Anybody not running lightweight is going to be slower than you. When y'all spawn in, you can get to a position faster, get up into a head glitch, and wait for them to run by because they are slower than you. You were already in position before them. Lightweight was always a crutch perk. They cut it from like Black Ops 3 and up or something maybe, and they kind of brought it back with this division rank. I thought that was kind of interesting. Next up, we have the Armored Division, which, as you can tell by looking at this picture, is my least used division. I barely fucking leveled it. First up is the LMG bipod. So if you have an LMG, you can post up if you go up to a windowsill or lay down on your stomach, go prone. You can post your LMG up on a bipod and it gives you zero recoil. You can look left and right really, really fast, and you can just melt people. This is something they had with LMGs, I believe in like World at War or something like that. I don't know if any other Call of Duties before or after that had it, but I remember World at War having it. I kind of used it back then, but as a scrub, it was kind of trash. I used it a little bit in this game every now and then. Next up, for Rank 2, we have Immune to Shell Shock and Tactical Equipment. Essentially what used to be Tac Mask from the previous Call of Duties, yet again another perk from previous games. Shell Shock is a newer effect with Call of Duty World War II. If an explosive goes off near you, it kind of rattles you for a few seconds. Rank 3, you take less fire damage, kind of a trash and waste, if I'm honest. You have, like, incendiary shotguns, you have, like, Molotov cocktails, which is a score streak. You have another score streak that drops, like, firebombs on everybody. Like, there's not a whole lot of use for this, so it's just kind of a waste of a slot. And lastly, Rank 4, you have take significantly less explosive damage, which is a perk from pretty much every Call of Duty I've ever played, which was Flakjack. You just take less explosive damage. This division's not the best, but it is good for a lot of objective game modes. If you're playing the war game mode on this game, or if you're playing something like Domination, where a lot of explosives are going to be used, a lot of tactical equipment's going to be used, it is good there, but again, in pubs, it's just eh. Next, we have what is by far the most overused division in the game, the Mountain Division. First up, we have the Sniper Sharpshooter effect. Now, this is essentially what is a staple to every first-person shooter game. Whenever you have a sniper rifle, you're aimed down sights, you can hold your breath for a certain amount of time to like get rid of any kind of idle sway or anything and make your shots as accurate as possible. They took that basic effect, that basic mechanic from first-person shooter games and made it locked behind a division. It's absolutely insane. Next up for Rank 2, we have Always Invisible to Enemy Recon Aircraft. This is what the Ghost perk has been in pretty much every other Call of Duty. The problem here is that in the more recent Call of Duties, the past like 3 or 4 Call of Duties, they kind of nerfed the Ghost perk to where you had to be moving around for this to work. And this is back to old school Ghost, where you can just run this division, somebody's got a recon, it doesn't matter if you're moving or not, you're off the fucking radar. And that's pretty crazy to me. They took a step back from what the recent Call of Duties have done. Next up for Rank 3 of the Mountain Division is the hidden to player-controlled score streaks. This is essentially what Cold-Blooded was from previous games. A lot of the perks have been different throughout each of the series, but more or less this is what it was. You would be hidden if somebody's in a player-controlled score streak, like a plane flying around the map that they're in a turret gun. You will not appear. Like there won't be a circle around your character for them to shoot at. They can still shoot and kill you if they get lucky, but you're not popping up for them. Is essentially what it is. And last up for the Mountain Division is Silent Movement. Now this is beyond broken in this game. If you have not played this game, the footsteps are absurdly loud. And if you play with the headset at all, you would understand how loud they actually are. And having silent footsteps is beyond strong in this game. It's just kind of OP. That combo with being constantly off the radar, even if you're not moving, it's just, this division is too strong. The footsteps are so loud in this game, in fact, that they're talking about trying to nerf it and maybe silence some of the footsteps. Hopefully they fix that pretty soon. Also, this is exactly what the Dead Silence perk used to be in the previous CODs. And for the final division is the Expeditionary Division. Now, the first rank is the Shotgun Incendiary Shells. Potentially one of the most controversial things in the entire game. A lot of people bitch about these. Your shotguns just have fire damage to them. So you shoot somebody with the shotgun, it'll catch them on fire and do additional damage. So shotguns almost guarantee one-shot kills usually. They are very fun to use and one of the most frustrating things to play against. It is very annoying to die to this all the time. Next up for rank 2, you get the ability to select a tactical and a lethal. In this game, since we don't have a pick 10, you only have one grenade slot. You can only choose either a lethal or a tactical, whereas in previous CODs, you could choose one or the other or none. This game, you have to actually level up a division just to equip a lethal and a tactical. Kind of wild. Rank 3 allows you to throw equipment faster, farther, and while sprinting. Now, this is a previous effect from the Call of Duty games. I can't remember off the top of my head what perk this would have been, or if it would have been a wild card, or whatever the case, but this is something from previous Call of Duties. A good effect if you're into using grenades. And last up for the Expeditionary Division is you resupply your equipment from killed enemies. Now this lets you get back your grenades whenever you kill somebody, essentially what Scavenger would have been. I don't know if Scavenger's always giving you back your grenades in previous Call of Duties. I know some of them, I want to say some of them was only ever your gun ammunition. This is only your equipment though, you don't get any ammunition back. The weird thing with it in this game is that you get it off of any kill, whereas in previous Call of Duties, you have to kill somebody with your gun to drop an ammo bag. So we used the S-Mine in this game, which was like the Bouncing Betty from the previous games. So you can set up what is the Bouncing Betty in this game. Somebody runs through it, gets blown up, go over to where they died, pick it up again, reset that bitch, and just camp your dick off, and just keep killing people running through the doorways. It's kind of ridiculous and overpowered at times. So the divisions in this game are strong. They're pretty much just made up of perks and things from previous games. The biggest issues I have with the division system is, for starters, you don't get to choose within the division. It's already decided for you by the developers. You also have them cutting attachments that have been in the series forever to make up division ranks. So what was the stock effect is now locked behind infantry. What was the suppressor for like almost all the weapons that in Call of Duty is now locked behind this Airborne Division, and you can only use it with submachine guns. You have a basic first-person shooter mechanic, like holding your breath while using a sniper rifle locked behind a division. And then you have them bringing back effects that are similar to old-school broken perks, like the Ghost effect, but you don't have to move at all, or something like Lightweight, which was cut from recent Call of Duty for being too strong, that bring that back with the Airborne Division and allow you to sprint further and faster in the exact same division. Makes that division kind of inherently strong. And one of the things that bothers me the most about the divisions is that each of them have one effect that is only specified for a single weapon, which is the first rank to each of them. And if you don't use that specified weapon with that division, you're essentially losing out on one of your ranks. So most divisions, when you actually look at it, really only have 3 effects instead of 4. And some of these weapon perks, essentially, are stronger than others, and some of them you can miss out on and not really care, like the Mountain Division. The only weapon effect you get is the ability to hold your breath through sniper rifles. A great effect if you're using a sniper rifle, but I can stand to lose that. I can use the Mountain Division and not worry about not having that effect, because who the fuck really cares? But if you're using something like the Infantry Division, you kind of want that bayonet effect, because you want those one-hit melees, you want the ability to charge around corners and get the one-shot kills and everything. Like, that is a strong effect. Incendiary shells are a strong effect. Like, if I'm using the Expeditionary Division, it's because I want to use the Incendiary Shells because they're that damn good. Like, you almost guarantee one-shot kills with shotguns whenever you use that division, so why would you use any other division with shotguns at all? And while I'm not a fan of the Armored Division, the LMG bipod, who actually fucking cares? If I'm using that division, it's for the protection effect from the tactical equipment and the protection from, like, the explosive damage, so I can use any weapon I want to with that division, and I'm not really missing out on anything because the LMG bipod is kind of an irrelevant effect anyway. And nobody really uses that even when they use LMGs anyways. So to kind of wrap it all up, the biggest flaw altogether with the division system in Call of Duty World War II is the lack of choice. You don't really get to choose anything in this fucking game. Everything is picked for you. Yes, there's a lot of basic trainings, but you can only pick one basic training. Some of them have 1 to 2 effects, but those are, again, already chosen for you. The divisions have a lot of good effects, but again, the ranks are already decided for you. Your only real choice with this game other than is your weapon. Like, you just choose your weapon with its attachments, and even some of what used to be attachments are locked behind division ranks. There's almost no choice in this game, and it's fucking crazy that they decided to make the game like this. The game is very fun to play, other than some of the technical issues like server stuff and buggy bullshit and glitches and maps and stuff like that. The game is actually pretty fun to play. My gameplay has been kind of trash. I'm still this far into the game. I'm still in the learning curve. I'm still getting the hang of boots on the ground and how to play that shit. I'm so used to boosting around, but the game is fun. There's just a lot of flaws, and I don't like not having choice. Anyways, the video is much longer than I planned on it ever fucking being, but I guess I had a lot to say as I started recording. There's just more and more things I wanted to discuss and talk about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this much longer video than I usually put out. And if you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, turn on notifications, follow me on Twitter at @TheDashingDavid. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Till it comes to conclusions, all the things that we thought we were losing. I'm a ghost and you know this. That's why we broke up in the first place. 'Cause I want you to know